Right, so I know what you're gonna say. Just looking at the deck, what am I doing? Well, there's a number of things that's happening here, and I'm gonna go over, well, all of them basically. And this is my current iteration of set 4 for Mass Saiyan, and this is definitely a different take. There's a lot of takes that you can do, but as soon as I saw Dimension Support Trunks, and I made the video before, please go check out that. It's a 10-minute shenanigans with Dimension Support Trunks and as well as Toa. That's part of the thing that I got that idea for this one, and just in general why I wanted to make it. But the reason why I wanted to make this is mainly for him, and because I really wanted a new Mass Saiyan deck. Like, I honestly really like Mass Saiyan. I really do like Vegeta and as well as Trunks. I mean, they're both really good aggro leaders with access to untapping and draw power and critical and unyielding and flute and all this other dumb stuff. But with this deck, it's a fun deck. And I don't know if it's going to be super competitive, but it can get some wins. I personally, last time I went to the locals, I went 4-1. One of them was kind of a fluke, but we're not going to talk about that one. But I think it did relatively well when it came to just overall, what's the word for it? Consistency, and just having fun and doing damage, basically. There are a few changes, but I will go through that. The whole premise of this is critical, obviously, and as well as a couple other things. So mainly Mass Saiyan's critical, Dimension Support's Trunks effect, which is the whole thing, and then Time's Choice, which pretty much every single turn you have access to, and then these two critical guys, and Mira, which is just wild. Mira is just wild. I'll get into that. So let's go through all of the cards. Let's talk through opening hand and as well as mulligan, and just strategies, and just the general goodness of it all. So, of course, Mass Saiyan, if you didn't know already, if you well, I always do it. I always treat like you don't know the game itself. You might learn one or two things if you already know the game too. So this guy, once per turn, you mill the top 3, so you drop them down the top 3 of your deck, and then if you get a black, you get a critical. Any other color, it does not matter if it's yellow, blue, red, or what's the other one? Green. you do get 5k if it's any other color. Black for crit, 25 or 5k for color. This deck runs 23 black, so the odds of it, in theory, you should get critical pretty much every single time. The way that you have to do it for sure is bump this up to 25. But because of the room for this deck, because you only get 50 cards out of the whole deck, there's not really too much room. The only thing I can really say to take out is maybe the Gohans, but they've become pretty klutz lately. And the offset with 16 versus 11, you kind of need the extra green or the extra red to summon out or play out the Gohan. But that I'll get into that in a second. So basically you get crit for black, etc, etc. So you can mill it out. Crit doesn't carry over, but you can awaken, draw 2, and then mill out again, get an additional 5k in crit right after. So this guy becomes a 25k after you awaken if you choose to do so. So that is a very big thing to do that, and you do draw a card on the awaken side. Now, since you do mill out top 3 every single turn, the 3 drops, or the three, oh man, I am just a brain fart today. The 3 drop for Overwhelm for 3 pretty much happens every single turn, and that's what you could want in your opening hand. And with Time Choice and as well as Dimension Support Trunks, those are very useful. So this is the super combo in which you can combo or use it when you have 5 or more cards in your warp and draw 1 and add a 10k. And again, Dimension Support Trunks is the reason why I got this. So you might have seen this in some Trunks decks, kind of, mainly Vegeta decks because it is critical. But for this deck, the synergy for this is so crazy. So let's say turn 1, right? Let's say just turn 1. You mill 3, you get a black and as well as another color. Now you have 15k crit for your leader. They're at 10k. maybe even tapped out. So they probably if they don't play Mass Saiyan, which you shouldn't tap out for Mass Saiyan, or you shouldn't not leave an energy open against him because you want to counter. If they're tapped out, ooh, I'm going in, because now you have a few options. So this guy has 15k crit. You pay 1 and 3 overwhelm, which you'll have every single turn, and then you choose one skillless battle card with 2 or less from your deck, and it gains critical. No 5k boost or anything like that, just crit, but still really good. Now, you notice that I have the hits here, the 2-drop vanilla hit, and as well as the shoe. You can use really any vanilla cards. The reason why I went with the hit is because before the concept that I had was I wanted to bring out the hit 1 turn, use a sensu bean, and then use lightning fast hit. But I've discovered that later into the just play testing and going over and over again, like a good dozen matches, this really, honestly, like it doesn't really need it. You don't really need lightning fast hit. You can do a lot of other things, including like the Mira or really anything else. The shoe is just for memes. There's not really anything else. So you have these in the deck for 2 reasons. So 1, dimension support trunks. So what happens, 15k crit leader, you got a 15k body for 3 and 1, which is just crazy. And then another 15k body with critical that is swinging as well. So you have 15k crit, 15k crit, 50k normal, and you can use this as combo power depending on the matchup, especially if you're going against like Baby or something. You know, that's one thing. Shout out to Gibson. But that's another thing that you have to kind of keep in mind. So again, turn 1, boom, there you go. If you're going first, just set a blue or set something else like a shoe or something, and then make sure you have one of these guys in your hand. And now what you can do is that if they counter the Mass Saiyan on turn 2, and you have 2 energy, you've spent 1 for this one. You have a Champa in your hand. You don't have to use the Champa because you can't combo if they just countered. Now they're tapped out, and now you get to use Dimension Support Trunks, pay 1, have the shoe, and then Champa. So that is it. And now the other 2 things is that, or the other thing is that you use these guys as energy every single time. Like if you see in your hand, use it as energy. Don't play it. And that helps your Sensu Bean, that helps your Whis, that helps these guys right here, and as well as Miraculous Comeback Gohan. So that's the reason why they're there. Very, very, very good synergy. Like it's just so fun. Like it's so crazy and so fun. If you try this deck out, if you try your own variation, let me know how it goes and what you put it in. Time's Choice. So Time's Choice, you overwhelm through 3. Very, very powerful card, just like Time Patrol Trunks, where you look at the top 3 instead of 2. You choose 1 battle card instead of 1 card, and the other 2 have to go back to the bottom of your deck. You don't have a choice. This is really good because every single card in this deck, other than Sensu Bean, Dark Plot, and Whis Coercion, is a battle card. So the odds of it, especially early game, is very high that you'll get a battle card. What do you want? So you have a lot of different choices. So if you see a shoe, you're not getting the shoe. That's automatically going to the bottom of the deck. So that way, Dimension Support Trunks always has a target for it, and you always have that. I might bump this up to 4, by the way. I know I didn't comment on that, but like I said, this is just room. It's just room, and that's all it is. Anyway, so you put that, you take another card. So I would personally, depending on the matchup, depending on where you are in life and energy. So let's say they have 4 life. You know, they have 4 life. You put down the shoe, or you don't take the shoe. You can't get the coercion, but you do see a Kaba. You get the Kaba, you swing, take a life, get an extra card. You put some pressure for double strike. There you go. Other things include if you have no other overwhelm for next turn, or if you don't have a turn for next turn, you can get a Bardock, you can get a Mira, you can get a Trunks. If it's late game, you can get a Mira created Absorb. You can even get a super combo. There's no limit to Time's Choice, and that's why it's so good. Like that's why it's so good as far as that goes. Other than you have to get a battle card, I know. But as far as the battle cards, there's no limit as far as that goes. It doesn't have to be a cost, doesn't have to be anything. And you do have to show your opponent. Very, very good card. Very, very good to thin out the deck, to reorganize your thoughts and as well as your plays. And because you mill out 3 every single turn, it's a done deal, easy, especially easy game or early game. Desperate Onslaught Bardock, I might put this down to 2 depending on the matchup. Again, a lot of free blockers are running around now with the flutes and everything else like that. When you play this guy, he is 5 overwhelm with crit and 20,000. So now you have a 15k crit, most of the time. And then a 20,000 there. The 5 overwhelm is a little bit of awkward sort of area. This is why I like the Mira a little bit more, because usually I have another card. Like either I combo with this man or this girl, or something else, or Shu or something, or I Champa the previous round, and then now I have 4 instead of 5. Now I actually have to waste another card or let them crit me, or I combo or something like that. And I don't like taking away card advantage. So 5 is a little bit weird. That's why I kind of want to put this down to 2. Anyway, so when you attack, you play with this Overrealm, your opponent may not combo with their cards, their battle cards in their area. Before I thought it was just in general, but in their area is really what it is, and they can't activate blocker. So still good. So this gets around Zorei, this gets around the free blockers, this gets around the barrier blockers like Piccolo and Gohan. Hey, the real dad, the real daddy. I just caught that. I just like they're both 3 drops, or no, I think Piccolo's a 4 drop. Anyway, doesn't matter. Barrier blocker. The other thing is again, it's very, very useful, especially if you're going for game or if you're putting a lot of immense damage, because now if you have a Champa in hand, you didn't pay for any energy like you would for Trunks or Dimension Support Trunks, and now you can Champa for 30,000 double strike crit. And that is kind of like I wouldn't say the magic number. 25 is definitely the magic number, but when you have 25,000 double strike crit, you have to have 2 10Ks at least, which could be equal up to 4 cards or 2 super combos. And that's still a lot. Like, that's still a lot of cards to be asking for. And when you put them that pressure, that's card advantage for you, or disadvantage for them. Mirror. So over on 4, very much of a staple in this deck and as well as other decks. I love it. There's no mystery about this. Both of these, and as well as the Trunks, I usually go for the Trunks, is a dark plot target, but we'll get into that. This guy is very simple. You know, if you went turn 1, you did a Champa and you draw into another one or something like that, if you have 2 Champas in hand, which most of the time you should, you use pass on turn, and then you mill again, you have 15 crit, you swing, they counter, you overwhelm this guy, and now you got another target to go for 30,000 double strike crit, which is always fun. It is always fun. Just don't go ham, excuse me, like I do sometimes. I go like 60,000 double strike crit, and they're like, okay, I'll just take it. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't think that one through. Just wasted a lot of cards. Anyway, so that's one of those things. And again, not much to say. You know, he's super good. There's no real downside other than, you know, you have to use an extra card previous turn or the same turn to get 4 in your warp or your drop area. Dark Plot. So kind of an underrated card. Like I've been telling everybody, I'm like, I don't know why people are just stop playing Dark Plot for whatever reason, but Dark Plot is a 4 energy, but when you play it, you get to play a 4 or less in your warp. You can do any battle card that you want, as long as it's 4 or less. But if it does have Overrealm, which this one does, 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 but it won't be a target. This one does, and this one does. So you can play any of them. Oh wait, this one doesn't. This is a super combo. I'm stupid. But this one does, and you can play Overrealm and play it out basically for 1. And this is super good, because now you get the Dark Plot when you have 4 energy. You get to use Dimension Support Trunks after that, and Overrealm, get another body on the floor. Now you have 4, basically 4, because now you have this one, the Shu or hit for critical, this guy for double strike, and this guy for double strike critical if you have Champa, or just just 15k critical or 20k critical, because most of the time you're going to be awakened if you have 4 energy. So super strong, really good for opening the board up. So I'm in between of keeping this guy in the deck. I've pretty much never played him other than using Dark Plot, because you run in at 2. Most of the time you're going to be milling him, so that's kind of an issue. But when you do get to play him, there's a lot of stuff that you could get, honestly. I mean, you could get another Overwhelm target for next turn. You could get a Supreme Kind of Time as well, because there's only 2 energy and 4 Overwhelm. I mean, yeah, turn 3, turn 4 is pretty detrimental, but if you don't have if you don't have this, if you don't have a Champa, I mean, if you know you're playing apes and you can get a Gohan, you can just play the Gohan. There's a lot of different things that you could do, and it just is really good for utility. But because it's 2 energy, it's a little pricey, but good early in. Like, it really helps you set up everything later on. So I don't know what I would do for that one. Maybe take these out and put 2 more of these guys. I don't know. Who knows? Or maybe one more of these and then one more of the Mira. I'll come back to you on that one. Or maybe one more. Okay, we'll see. Mira. So this is a busted ass card. Let's just be real with this. This guy has a deflect. So anytime that you do Overwhelm, he can't be Crushable, he can't be Cold Bloodlusted, etc, etc. The Union Absorb part is kind of unfortunately not applicable for this, but hugely such a good game ender. Like I've ended so many games with this man. It is crazy. I only play 2. I might play 3. Who knows? We'll see. But right now it's been pretty good. Like having him in the hand later in the game has been really helpful. Again, Time's Choice helps a lot. If you're really concerned about milling out your targets, Time's Choice is a G. Like she is the real one. She is the bottom. I can't say that, but she helps a lot when you need to choose out some stuff. And if you need to choose out Mira, for example, and you haven't seen it in your drop or your warp, you're probably gonna see it with Time's Choice. So this man, when he attacks, it gains 5k for each card in your warp, which is just crazy. It is just absolutely bonkers. So if they have, for instance, you know, no energy tapped in, and you defended against it, which for this deck, I mean, surprisingly enough, it can defend pretty well. This one, like I said, if you summon him out for 1 for Overrun 4, which is just wild, it should be like 7 or something. But Overrun for 4, and then you have a Champa in your hand, this man becomes at the very minimum, so what, 4 times 5, 20, 50, 60k double striker. So I mean that is just silly. And by the time I play this man, I have 110, 120,000 double strike with Champa, and I'm going for game. You know, that happens every single time. But what you have to be really careful of is you have to play everything else before you play him, because you want to bait out the counters, you want to bait out everything else, and by the time that you do get him out, they most likely play their counters, because they're trying to counter the Saiyan, they're trying to counter the Mira, they're trying to counter Kaba if they're at 4, they're trying to counter the Trunks if you're trying to go for critical, etc, etc. So I mean, it really depends. This guy ends games every single time. Senzu Bean, very self-explanatory. I mean, Senzu Bean I think is really good in this meta as well, because now if you have 2 Senzu Beans on your guy on defense, at a minimum they have to get up to a 10k. If you have 1, they have to combo out at least 1. And so on the defensive side, it's really good, and on the offensive side, it's really good, because now you can extend plays in which you can put on pressure with Saiyan, whether it's Saiyan and going for 25 critical, and you Senzu Bean with that and get 25 critical, and then untap an energy, play Kaba, play a Trunks, play one of these other 1-drops, play Dimension Support Trunks to get 2 extra bodies on the board. Boom! It's just crazy. Whis is really good because again, with the aggro decks, you know, it's really helpful. I think it's really helpful just to slow down some plays, make sure they don't combo out to get unyielding Trunks, etc, etc. And you know, that really covers some of the aggro stuff, especially with the Bean, and everything else kind of covers pretty much every other deck. So like stuff like Cell, you really don't have a huge hand most of the time. Stuff like yellow leaders or yellow decks, most of the time you can crit them out and get aggro. It really covers a lot, and Whis helps a lot to cover that, especially since using my man Shu as energy. And that's pretty much it. And support Trunks. I kind of already explained that. Running 3 of 3. This is basically, I mean, I personally don't want to see more. I don't want to see more of these guys. Yeah, Trunks is great, but most of the time I'm going to be swung at, and I'm going to be tapped out. I'm going to let them take or let them make me take damage, so that way I can get some more card advantage, and later on I can use a Kaba, later on I can use the Trunks. The Trunks is really there, so that way if I'm sitting at like 5 life, I can use a Trunks, awaken easily, or later in the game if I'm like 4 or 3 life, I can use the Trunks, bait out a counter, use his ability, get critical, use the Trunks, get critical again, and then just go for it. Because now, like I said, it's just like you have to think of it of making sure they don't have counters, because that's the whole premise of this, like going for critical and a lot of damage. But so, you know, say in Kaba, you take 1 life, get a double strike. Trunks, you take 1 life, get critical. Those are the kind of the staples as far as red right now. Hit though. I really wanted to use the lightning fast hit, but honestly, it just doesn't work out. So that's all I can really say about that. Further destruction Trompa gains double strike whenever you combo with it. Very self-explanatory and very much a staple for Mass Saiyan. And then Miraculous Comeback Gohan. I recently added this one because, again, apes, free blockers, etc, etc. It really helps. When you have 3 or less cards other than this one, if you have 4 basically, you can reduce it by 4. You can play for a 2-drop. You have to pay the 2 red. So it's very important what you charge, whether it's a hit or Trunks or Kaba, depending on, again, your situation. And when you play them out, when you KO a battle card, if they block with one of them, which sometimes they will, so they either have to take a 25,000 double strike against their leader and combo out, or they have to basically block and then take the 2 damage. Especially in the late game, that's very detrimental. So super good. Would I use the new Tournament Pack Gohan? Probably not, because it's 3 energy, and I don't really like using that whole 3 energy just so I can draw 2 cards, which might be dead cards because I'm not going to be able to untap anything. In the Universe 7 Gohan and Trunks and Vegeta, where I can manipulate energy a little bit better, I would totally use those. But I would totally use the tournament packs. But right now, Gohan, he's like what, $5-6 right now. Very good to pick up right now, I would say. And there you go. So let's talk really quickly about Mulligan and opening hand, and I'll end it right now, or end it then. Oh, before I continue, this is my sideboard, kind of. It's still a work in progress. If you ever have a sideboard for this, let me know. Again, I play best of 1, but if you ever do have best of 3, this is what I would do. So for time control Konoha, this really won me the game when I went against a Ginyu player for whatever reason, but it really helped. So it stops super combo playing, so she can't play 3-drops or less. And burst attack Gohan, you already know about that. Foreseeing hit, if you want to switch out hits for let's say Gohan, I would say switch him out, so that way you can like for the matchups of, I would say, you know, Cell sometimes, even though at 4 energy most of the time that would be Cell chaining at that point. For anything, I mean, it's really hard to say. Like with Shigesh and Konoha being in there, I can't really say that's a really good pickup, but I would say it's a good sideboard card. Lightning fast hit, you already know. Scientist Fu, I mean, it's good, but most of the time I'm overwhelming pretty much every single turn with this deck. Whoops, every single turn with this deck, and I don't have 7 in the drop area most of the time, so you know, that's why I say about that. And then this is good against swarm decks or ones that have different or a lot of different like board presence, basically low drop board presence. So people still play veggies. It's not you know, dead or anything. So this is a really good sideboard card. I just don't main board it because most people it's like most things don't stay on the board too long. So that's what I would think about that. All right, so real quick, as far as opening hand, so what you would really want to start out with is either one of the colors. You most likely don't want to give them any card, so I'm immediately going to do that. I don't want to use this right now. There's no point of using that, although it is going to be kind of an iffy thing not to see it again. But hey, you might have power overseeing Trunks or power overseeing Time Trunks, so you know. This is not a bad card to have in your hand early hand. I mean, you're going to be overrolling something, but you know, that's just how I see it. But I will drop it because there are no other overwhelm cards in your hand. So you definitely want to overwhelm early. You definitely want to get that warp up so that way you can actually use it. Whis, I would keep it only if I saw another blue or I knew it's going to be super aggro. But for right now, we're going down. This is a staple, and then this is for red energy. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle, draw 2. And this is a good hand. There you go. So this is red energy. Most likely gonna play that, and I'm gonna mill 3. So I don't really need to shake a card because there's no one here. So black or red, black and red. So 15k crit. You swing for that. You swing for this. You take a life, and that's it. So let me just put the life, just in case. You know, swing, take a life. There's another. There's another Konoha. I don't know, who cares? Supreme Kai time, and that's really good. So now your next turn, let's say they kill this off, which most of the time they will, and then you draw. So you have a choice of you know, charging one of these. So do you want to do this a second time next turn, or do you want to use this the next turn? Which you know, I mean, I would get a Champa. Let's just say we will get this. We play 4 of, we play 2 of that. And let's say Dimension Support Trunks. Go ahead and warp. This guy counts as a warp, so on the next turn you can use those 2 super combos. And then let's get the bad boy shoe. You can see from your deck as well. I mean, in real life it's a little bit harder, but from here it's pretty easy. You play the shoe, he gets critical, this guy gets critical, this guy is normal. You can combo with it, so that way you can fill your warp or your drop for warp, I guess. And then you can understand what you have. So both 2 hits is in the life, and then two shoes in the life. So that's kind of annoying. So you swing with that for critical, you swing for this for critical. And then now you can probably play a Champa on him or him, and then boom, there you go. Even go further beyond and go for what, 30,000 double strike crit. I mean, it's really up to you. Or you can just swing if they have like a 1-drop on hand on board, and then just KO that thing. That's pretty much it. I mean, throughout the whole game, that's all you really need to do. Let's say they go ahead and do that. I mean, most of the time I'm gonna charge the Gohan. I don't really need it right now. This guy goes away. This guy stays because he got played on. And then you can mill again. I'm just gonna shake just for good sakes. This is critical. 2 super combos. You're funny. You're funny, game. And then just go for crit. Go for crit. And then from there, you basically just have to wait. Like you just have to wait until they do it. And the longer that you wait or be patient, the better. And if you can't self-awaken, or if you know that you're not gonna self-awaken, keep these in hand. For this guy, you can always overwhelm if you take another life, and then get this man, play him out, and then swing for crit, awaken, and then boom, there you go. Now you have more cards. So that's pretty much it. I talked quite a lot. This shouldn't be. It's gonna be long. Oh well. Hopefully you can tell me exactly what I got wrong, or what you do like, or what you might change instead. I'm more than happy to hear everybody's opinions about that, and I hope you enjoy the video. Please subscribe if you're new. Like the video if you like it. Dislike if you don't. Comment below otherwise, and I will see you in the next one. Later.